We're doing Siman Reish Samach Daled, and Be'ezus Hashem Yisborich. After that, we're gonna, because the time is short before, and we want to get to Ner Chanukah. We don't want to learn about Ner Chanukah after Chanukah. So we're learning today Siman Reish Samach Daled. Finish it off next week, and then we're gonna go straight into Siman Tov Reish Ayin to Tov Reish Hey Daled, almost the last set of 15. And after that, there's only Hilchos Megillah. The last 15 Simonim, it's Mishnah Brura. We'll do the Mishnah Brura. The 15 Simonim, 14 Simonim on Hilchos Chanukah. So, and then after Chanukah Blinada, we'll get back to Siman Reish Samach Gimel, which is a very important simon. There's always shilas about this, and I'm really thrilled to go through the halachas. Just before we start, just a cute tshuva from Harav Yosef Lieberman. He was the Rav Tzaddik Chassidim Yerushalayim. He was a brother-in-law to the Belzer Rebbe, the Baron of Belz. So just a cute tshuva, a whole tshuva. He writes against using paper goods for Shabbos and Yom Tov meals. Okay.
Did he see the ones he used? Does he see the ones he used? They're beautiful.
Yeah, I know. So against you, everything has to be taken, and even he writes. He says, family with little kids, and they're going to break every Shabbos, and every Shabbos you're going to have to go buy new dishes. He's not talking about that. I mean, it just puts a certain. But what I'm taking out of the tshuva is just he brings up a lot of things, and then it made me think. It made me think about something. First of all, I'm just tell you a few nuggets in this. He says, "Uvdi yadayne b'choit kedushas gisi kodesh hakadoshim lebanon belz shebetubish b'chamisha asa b'shvar orach shulchanik vehemidu pumutas hakesef al hashulchan ואחר כך הסכבנו לתפילת ערביס, והוירו למשמושי שבמוקים המויטס הנחוישס שהויו על העמוד יחליפם בשל כסף שהשתמשו בהם בעריכת השולחן. ואוכי ורב הקודש מבדיל גוראי שהויו שם ביר כוונוסי על פי הגמור החגיגה שלא יהיה שולחנכם מולוי ושולחן רבו אחריכו. That there was a kavona pnimius that we would just take a private atish chamishas b'shvat, and we had on the table by many chassidim to have candles on the table. And the candles weren't just standing azoid; they were standing pamutas shel kesev. And now we're going to have a maidiv, and in the Amud there were pamutas shel nachoishes. It's not pekovidik. So he said that they should put okay. We're just thinking, when it comes to Shabbos, this also touches a little chord, as you'll see soon in a second, to what's negated today in Beis Menachem Mendel. Minig Yisrael Torah, to buy expensive pamutas, to buy candle holders that are expensive, made through a uman, makes it very nice and fancy, v'chulu v'chulu. Today, if you go to many of the silver stores, you can even get the Filibavitch, you get the Rebbitzins. I happen to not like that design. Now we got it home what my wife likes, not but a lot of Lubavitcher couples get it. It's whatever the Rebbitzin liked it, whatever it was her taste or whatever. That's what she got. But today it's you can get it like in a lot of the stores. Okay. So is it like Stam, like we spoke about this on like what's Hidur Mitzvah? A Hidur Mitzvah is nachelik of the mitzvah. If you say the marshal, a person is going to buy a silver box for an esrik, is that a Hidur Mitzvah? You could argue it's not a Hidur Mitzvah. It's not. You're spending more money to buy a nicer esrik. Oh, that's a Hidur Mitzvah. Because you were Mahadir, you could have bought the kosher esrog for $25. and you spent $150 or $200 or $300, and you bought something that doesn't have a blattel and a fleckel, and it has a nice giddle, and it's straight and it's clean. That's a hiddur mitzvah. If you're buying a nice set of candle holders, is that a hiddur mitzvah? So I was thinking, I didn't come with tachlisei. I'm just sharing with you. I was just doing one thing that, and I found taka because I remember in Chassidus there's discussion about what's a neir. Is a neir the shemen and the psila, or a neir is also the keli that holds the shemen and the psila? And there's a mimer Ner Chanukah, so what's the difference in that? Because the Alter Rebbe, we're going to learn in a minute, compares the hidur of Ner Chanukah to Ner Shabbos, that the two are compared. As we've seen in the Gemara, that's the way the two sugis end up together, because the Gemara starts off with talking about Ner Shabbos, and then from there goes into Ner Chanukah, because the things are connected, Ner Shabbos and Ner Chanukah. So the Rebbe Rashab asks, what's like, for example, there's in Tanya and Perek Lamed Hey, the Tanya says that there is the Zoya, that the Zoya says that the Shemin Arosh Chal Yechse, that the person, and the Alter Rebbe makes a very big deal out of it in Tanya. There's a Zoya that says that Chochem Eina Beroishe, that Chibaan Inui de Barnash, your eyes are in your head. Where else should they be? That the Zoya says that a person has to pay attention to what's going on the Rosh. It has to be the Ner Hashem Nishmas Adam. The person is like a candle. And he has to have always shemen. The shemen has to go into the psila, and the psila burns. And the Alter Rebbe explains that the psila is the nefesh abahamas. The Alter Rebbe says it's in loy dai that it's like an interesting zohar, but everything has an unbelievable oimek. And the Alter Rebbe goes into the oimek of that zohar. The zohar is trying to be machadish like this. You might think for the light of the Shekhinah to be on me, it's my neshama, right? So the neshama is like a wick that's going to hold the Oyer Shechina. The answer is loy v'loy v'loy. Big mistake. Why? Because the neshama, even if it's a neshama of a tzaddik that has the unbelievable avas Hashem and yiras Hashem, it's yesh oyev. It's a metzias, and the Oyer Shechina cannot burn on the nefesh shalakis. Dafke the nefesh bahamis, which is the wick, and is doing mitzvahs, which is the shemen, and the mitzvahs are bottled to the tzrotzen elyon of the Eibishter. That's what makes that the light of the Shekhinah should stay on the person. The Ava Yira from Nefesh Elokis is not good enough. The person is like a wick, and just like a wick, a little bit of the wick has to be burnt. And the same thing, a person is a little bit that's the skafia and the sapcha. And even though by the Beinani that the wick, it's not the wick itself is not such a gewaldike wick. Talking about the different wicks, the kosher wicks and not. Even though the Beinani, because really he himself didn't change. His etzim character doesn't. The core doesn't change. Before it, his machshava and divrei ma'aseh does change. So a little bit of his machshava and divrei ma'aseh is really getting burnt with the kedusha of the Shechina, as it really isn't. So the fire is holding on. What holds the fire? If you take a wick and you put a fire, 3 seconds, you have no more wick. What makes a fire burn for 7, 8 hours? When you put the olive oil, you put paraffin, you put chaylev, you put shaiva. So the mitzvahs that a person does, the inun uvdin tovin, that's the oil that goes into the wick, and that's what makes that the Agav Urcha. I'm going in a little bit of arichas, but I mean this is really the Gemara and the sugi we're learning. There's kosher wicks, there's kosher oils. Kosher wicks is that because Arosha we say malachol asapa chukoi, that if a person is not a kosher wick, his body is not a kosher. He's not making himself kosher. So then the oira shchina is masachseches. It doesn't sit well. Also, the mitzvahs that it does has to be that stockade gives us to be with honest money. V'chulu. So there has to be good oil and a good wick. There's a kosher oil and there's a pasula oil. There's a kosher wick and there's a pasula wick. Okay. And then when the oil goes in and it burns, okay. Again, this is a little bit agav orcha, but like I said, it's not so agav orcha because we spend time now learning the Gashmi is that there's kosher wicks and pasala wicks. There is kosher oil and pasala oil. There's mitzvah and amuvchir oil. Shem Zayis. You can learn a minute. The Alter Rebbe says. So Agav Urcha will learn about this. Alter Rebbe says that just like B'nai Chanukah mitzvah and amuvchir to use Shem Zayis, the same thing it is for Ner Shabbos. Taka, there are places I mentioned yesterday, like your mother does regular candles or Shem Zayis?
Now she's doing
Regular candles.
no, the kerosene.
But
her mother,
they did Shem Zayis?
A plate. The plate is like a ring, like this ring, a member silver ring, and had holes. And you put the.
And what can they use Shem Zayis? Oh, a lot of people are annoyed to use Dafka Shem Zayis. I saw there's two letters from the Rebbe. One he writes that he saw that his father-in-law was not Mahada Dafka for Shem Zayis. And the other way he writes to a woman that could be the reason for it is because many reasons could be said. The Alter Rebbe, we can learn in a minute, is Medama. The Alter Rebbe says just like by Chanukah, you're Mahada for Shem Zayis, also for Shabbos, you're Mahada for Shem Zayis. Fact the Shaila Minik Chabad is to be Mahada mitzvahs. And on a Chanukah, the Minik Poshet Chabad is to be Mahada Dafka for Shem Zayis. And it's Minik Poshet in the Welt also this way. Besides those that are buying the Chanukah candles for 99 cents for 54 candles.
It come ready with
the oil. Good, ich verstehe. Ich mach Lutzonis. Good. But B'chlal, the Hamish Oilam is Mahad and Shem Zayis. Because that's what it says in Shulchan Aruch. The same Hamish Oilam, which is Mahad and Shem Zayis, when it comes to regular Shabbos, they're not so Mahad and Shem Zayis. The Shaila is Favos. Good answer. There is a, and the Maral says,
to do it into sick.
You could give a few tirutzim. First of all, you could give a teretz that could be, there's a few svaras you could say. The table moves, and if you have Shem Zayis, it moves a little. There's a chash kibui. Shanking regular candles is not such a chash kibui. I mean, if you move that, you can shake up a table like this. But I'm saying a small. If you're singing, you're singing Zmida Shabbos, right? So if you have Shem Zayis, so Bakal, it moved. So maybe b'shogeg you're always been on kibui. I'm saying svaras. Shanking b'ner Shabbat Chanukah, it's not so shy. First of all, it's during the week, and even
when you don't light it on the table.
You don't light it on the table. You're lighting by the door. Pesach bezachutz, even if it's bifnim, but it's not shaykh the shash. So that's one svar. Another svar you could say is because the Maral says that the chelak of the hidden Shem Zayis for Chanukah is because the nest that happened, the Beis Hamikdash happened with Shem Zayis, but by Shabbos is not shaykh that time. But the Poel, it's interesting that in this letter to this family, the Rebbe doesn't write that. The Rebbe writes, my father-in-law was not Mahadir for Shem Zayis. A Yesh Loimar, because it wasn't available in his Medina. That it was very difficult and expensive. It was hard enough to get for Chanukah, Shem and Zayis. Culture came for Shem right? So that's why they used paraffin, But the Rebbe writes, Paul, that's the Minik Chabad. And he writes to this family, you already have the Minik to use Shem and Zayis for Shabbos. You should continue your Minik to do Shem and Zayis Dafka. So that's that. Back to our issue. So the Rebbe Rashab and the Maimon Chanukah Tov Reish Mem Gimel says that there's two Mahalchim and Chazal. One is that a Neid is the Shemen and the Psil is called a Neid. And the second is that the Neid is the holder, the cup that holds the oil and the wick together, that's called Neid. Now Chazal say a Rogel B'Neid have like bonim t'mid chama. So we're going to learn about it, that a person is mahadir to have a nice Neid will be zeichet to son a lot of chama and children to chama. It's totally. If you say that a Neid means Shemen Psila, so it's good enough that you're mahadir to get a good type of candle, a good wick, a good type of thing that burns, a Shem Zayis or Ladait, it's paraffin, whatever it is, that you spend the time and the money and the attention to make nice candles. But if you say that Ner means also the Pomut, so Harogil Bener, you could teach in the Gemara means that he makes nice, and that he goes to Hatzorfim, and he buys a nice a set of pamutim for Shabbos, for Yom Tov. So it could be there is a svara to say that the minig Yisrael Torah to make and buy nice, nice, nice pamutim,
Leichter.
leichter for Shabbos is not stam. It's more than just noisuke, which we spoke about noisuke. That there's a svara. Okay, Chazal brings it. It's the Mishnah. It's a brayso, but still, it's not. It's a tsugiklepet. It's added on. It could be that this is more than just a silver box for your esthetic. Because this is a hidden in the mitzvah itself. Because harogel b'neir havaret midacham, and what's neir? The Shulchan Aruch, the Mishnah Berurah doesn't talk about it so much that it's not the coveted for Shabbos to use like ugly klicheres to put in the candles. You should use something nice. Okay, not using a klicheres and then using something from Har Tzofim, which cost $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 is it's mashayil. I would say that if you say ner, it doesn't only mean the wick and the candle. Ner also means a pichazal. Ner is also a name for the keli. So harogel bener could mean also harogel to make a nice. So it's worth every nickel. Every nickel and dime you're spending, and the nice pamutim lekovet Shabbos is kedai. Because anything that's going to make sure that our children will be tamidei chachamim is kedai everything in the world. Okay, so. This.
And that's why if he has no money and he has either Shabbos candle or Hanukkah candle, Shabbos
right. Look, that's probably not talking about pamuti. That's talking about
light in Shabbos.
But so that's why I started. Oh, so why? What's the shaykhis that?
What's the pasuk? No, Havai Nishma Sodom.
Where's the pasuk?
No, what's the pshat? No, Havai Nishma.
So in the different Maimorim talk.
The goof is the ptila or the goof is the kli.
So in some, it really depends. In some Maimorim kum tois. That's why I printed out. There's one mimer. He says that the keli is the ma'aseh tzedakah. So it's mashma that the neir. He says the neir.
The goof is the keli.
The goof is the psila.
The goof is the psila or the keli?
No, not the keli. The goof is the psila. That's for sure. The Alter Rebbe says
so the neshama is the psila.
And the neshama, we're not talking about the neshama. The nefesh of Bahamas and the goof is the psila. The shemen is the ma'aseh tovim that a person does. And the shaila is what's the neir when you say neir. So other the pshat is one way of learning is that the shemen plus the psila that's the neir. That's neir. Neir Hashem nishmazadam. There's another thing to say that the neir is a peseicha the keli.
Why talk we like a Yosef candle? Somebody's passed away. So why all of the candle? What's
talking because the neir is shaychas neshama. Eir is in Yanuch and the shaychas neshama.
Just the metaphor, the part that's in the lake that's lit by the flame. Is that like remember is that the chiyut the person's like life force, or is that like
in the Zohar he says that the person is like a wick, and Shechina rests on the person's head, and what holds on to the fire is the oil, and the oil is the ma'asim tovim we do. And the take the minig Yisrael to light a candle for neshama is because Neir Hashem nishmasan, because the pasuk take.
In Menei, avoid it every morning. Take out the oil, no oil. Take out the
right to clean it. Right.
So no one.
They
no light and no avoid it.
Yeah.
Like what's wrong if I give it next day? No, the dafka take it out. We learn about it.
Yeah, we learned it last year. Maybe we should learn the hemshech this year. So what's the last nakud that I want to say is as a little ha'ora I'm making. The Rebbe sent, we don't know exactly, but Diuk, I could ask again Mrs. Sternberg to Mamish, no, but what happened is that the Rebbe wanted, when he started the campaign for Neir Shabbos Kodesh, that they should design something very nice on the cheap. Mr. Cooperstein made in his factory 2 million pieces over the years for Lubavitch. The Rebbe gave him a ton of brochas. This I know from him. He told me many times.
We have one in the kitchen.
So lately, I saw, I have to talk to Mrs. Sternberg about this. Well, how you talking? that the Chabad are doing, so it's cheaper. They have now this little box, and they put in two tea lights. They put in two tea lights, but that wasn't the original thing that the Rebbe had. Oh, that this was the design. Now it's true that Mrs. Sternberg told me that a couple of years ago she didn't. I mean, she couldn't ask that evidence, but she redesigned it slightly, and she made that over here there should be, besides a small a thing that you could put in a candle, she made another groove here that you could put a tea light, because a lot of people today are using tea lights. But now I see that it became, because it's cheaper, instead of this, it's a big thing. So they just put a little cardboard box. It's cute with two tea lights and the bracha.
What happened to the kli?
What happened with the kli? It's chad pa'ami. The tea light, that little pach goes in the garbage. You have to use it. No one reuses it. So I'm saying the l'shitose with using the paper goods and using, but the paper goods, for it, it's not the same.
It's more convenience for traveling or whatever to use it.
Hey, Nemes, a person's traveling or on vacation, but
yes, in your house,
my shaila is how the Rebbe put in an effort. Lanius Daiti, the reason the Rebbe put in the effort is because the Rebbe at gehalten, he wanted to do it on the cheap. It's for we're producing 2 million pieces. Chabad doesn't have the budget to give out pamutim shel kesef. But the Rebbe wanted to design something that has that has a certain chashivas. It has something. And Emes it's cheaper to just put two tea lights and it's easier to pack up. But I'm just being moider that this is that the Rebbe put in a lot of koiches and asked Mr. Cooperstein to design this for chulu, and he designed the dafke that they should be able to something that looks kosher and something that's permanent. And now to give out only the tea lights, the tea lights is like paper goods.
But when they give this, they have to give also tea lights with this.
No, they used to. That's what they used to do. They used to give this
and tea light
with regular lights, with candles. They used to give out this with candles. Then they used to give out this with tea lights. Okay, but now they're giving out just the tea lights. So like it's kosher, it's candles. I'm not complaining. I'm not making a rash godel.
Tea lights were not available for 50, 60 years.
I know. So when the Rebbe designed it, it was designed like this for regular candle. Mm-hmm. So you want to redesign it and make it a little bit.
What did Sadiga Rav say about the paper goods thing? How long?
This is a tshuv, not so long ago.
The reason why I asked, because if it was 40, 50 years ago, then the paper goods was the cheapest you had. You didn't have designer paper goods. Right. Today you really, but if it's more recent, then on case.
I know. You're saying this. So there's the designer and they're very nice. It's not like something you wouldn't put with a shulchan aruch. Okay. Enough said. This is whoever's sitting here is not making decisions about how Chabad is. But then this is I'm a voice. If I'll call Mrs. I'll call Mrs. No, Mrs. Sternberg. She's the Rebbe asked her to be the Yoshev Rosh from the campaign. Okay. Simen Magdala. Dinim Sila Vashem and the Boit Hazayin Tzifim. Also last Absela on Eresh Shabbos and Davshar and Nechelsboy. And Nichnas Betoich and Nisrech Seviva. Not allowed to use a wig with the light is not going into it. It's just jumping around it. Shalavis Kaifetzes. Could go in Tzemer, Beseyer, just two things that the Braise added. And Tosa says, yeah, Mishnah also would agree with it. Pishta Shein and Offwoods, Pseulus Shalmeshi, Kiyutzim, Kim Shein and Dolkum, Yofa Cheshim, Shayata Ner, Kadesh Iskaram, Oir, Hashemen, Shebetoichoi, Elapsila, Vidolok Yofa. Nimtzama B'Shabbos, Aloisim, Etzema Geffen. You're allowed to use tzema geffen, which is a very popular thing that people use today. Cotton and canvas. Yoitzbem mit dvarim shar nechtbem nichts beteufel. Pishta nefutze yoyse toy mekulam. Even though it's the Dark Moshe brings it, it's like Osamoni, so most don't mention it.
What's that?
A flax that's cleaned.
Mhm.
The truth is, I think
Now
like
we
most
can
of
linen.
what we're learning here, linen, is a little bit mute because even the things, the psilos that they said that are also to use, and even the shmanim they said they're also to use. No one to the marshal today, the neft is also to use, right? We use neft. Paraffin is really elamite.
It's from the family. No.
It's in the family now. It's not neft.
It's
It's
pure.
not neft.
The light is very nice.
Well, it's fake, but I said they make it from something, and I think it comes mekoide one of the main ingredients, huh?
It's not.
Like benzene, like what you put in the car.
Yeah.
It's
It's
called
right.
gasoline.
No, so the neft is not good.
Oh.
But then one of the but the thing is, it's not really neft. It's not the same neft that Chazal is talking about because it's processed. That's what the oil Litzin, the Betzin Abashol Zechron Labrachim writes in a Tshuva. He says that the emphasis today we use a lot of the psilas that Chazal say are not good, and we use a lot of the shmanim that Chazal say are not good. But he says, but they're not exactly that psila, and it's not exactly that shmanim. They add ingredients, they subtract ingredients, and the nimshach achar psila very nicely. Yeah. And the psila is the oil is not mesach sachas. It's not exactly what the Mishnah mentioned. The Mishnah meant neft, kipshute neft. But once you already put it into a factory and you worked on it and you added and subtracted, it's not neft. That Chazal said, if you use something that's also, you're not allowed to use that light. Shum tashmish boilim. I feel a tashmish ain't tzarech niyum klal. Shein tzarech liskar of eitzel ner b'shvila. The kimish enim yinim yofe choshim shem ayat aner. So therefore you're not allowed to use their oil. Aber b'shum shtamish berochrik. Vein chilu b'zeh ben neire shal shulchan l'shon neire shebabayis. B'shar kol kadam shkol tzarech chalis m'davar amuter. Yesh, now the author is going to bring the two coolers. Yesh emrim shin yesh b'makam echad ner kosher. Shotzim davar amuter. Af b'sheh Shor kol anedes asuyim medavar also im kachlum. Film ner kosher doiluk beched b'fnei atzma. The kiven shetzrichuch ner kosher b'makam echad yesh leheka v'zikonim b'zav lo yovel hatas. As long as you have one kosher candle in your whole house, that's good enough. Because now you remember, because you have one kosher candle, you remember, that the reason we have a kosher candle is, why is one candle different? Manishtana candle azem mikola candles. Because Chazal said I'm scared that you're going to touch the fire, and it's not. I'm going to remember I'm not allowed to touch the fire on Shabbos.
How many candles are required?
How many candles are required? The mitzvah is one. We'll talk about this mitzvah assimilation samach gimbal zach for everyone in the family, but the mitzvah is one. The emphasis the Shabbos is more than one really. One is bika for the achila, but there has to be other candles around the house. Today we're makel. We use electricity candles in the other rooms. So it's really, it depends how many rooms in your house you have to say how many candles you need as a minimum. So the Shabbos yesh lismach al devreim b'diavad, umutar l'shtamish loiden from the other candles if one candle is a kosher candle. Yesh b'mokam echad ner echad. Kosher, and it's impossible. Mutter l'shtam shem divrei hakoil b'cholin yishirafim lo yoshem ala ner kosher b'vad lo is hoy yoch l'shtam shem mam afsida or ner apostle. If they have two right next to each other, for sure the holidays you're allowed to use. But even if you have one kosher candle in your dining room, the rest of the house they're all not kosher candles. That you could be makel. Another cooler. Yesh emrim shkol davar she'ef shel asoyse b'lo ner. If you this is a thing you could do without a candle too. Closed the eyes, you could do it. You go on limshach yaim and amart. You want to bring a bottle of wine from the cellar. So you could, if a person, you blindfold the person, you could also go into the cellar and bring you a bottle of wine. Okay, can we make so there's two coolers, one which was you make even more. It's the same thing. Both he says that if you have one kosher candle and 10 apostle candles, as long as you have one kosher candle is good. He says, "B'diavad l'tzerach Shabbos mekel." And same thing here. If you have all possible candles, but what are you doing now? You're not reading a book. You're not doing something. You're doing something very simple that you could do with closed eyes too. So it can be
It
made.
doesn't make a difference in there. The good one and the not so good ones are the one that you're obligated for per person versus the extras.
Right. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. As long as you have one good one, we're making. He took 2 wicks and put it together. A kosher wick and a not kosher wick. And the scam is a lahavas of psila kedel oida. Also lahad liko. When they're shel Shabbos, zeh shem yav lahad but over also b'lavadu. Even though it's going to work, but Chacham made a gzeira that today you're going to use 2 wicks together. A kosher, not kosher. Next week you're going to use the not kosher. If the skaval hakshus apsila kedei she'amedes v'lateret lamata. Mutter ladlik avbi shagam davar also doilik ba. Like Rashi said, he just wanted to have it as a platform that it doesn't fall down. Lamashal. So then it's mutter. If the non-kosher psila, you really can't use it anyway. We're going kasher gemi. It's a mutter likrechel davar mutter ladlik. I feel miskav lahavas psila kedei lois feirer. Vishain lochish shema yaval hadlik b'davar also b'lavada. Kimishin eroil psila. If a person takes a piece of cash and lights it, it's never gonna work. Cash teven, it's not going to work as a wick.
Work for 1 second.
And 1 second it'll be ice. Now he has semagef. He has cotton, but he has very little cotton. And if he's going to put the cotton around a little bit of cash, he's going to have. I mean, we're going to have nebach the dachkos that Eden had them all. I mean, for me and you, this is whole shayla. It's not shayla. Say, because anyway, what are you going to be going to? The next week, a person's used cash. Can't use a cash anyway if he wanted to. So there's no mutter litin garger shamelach v'gris shal pula api anem Shabbos k'day sheytoy like yofa b'Shabbos. Melach v'gris tzoyla l'nes Hashem v'nimshach yofa racham p'sila. True, this is a lashon that Rambam. It's a pelodik Rambam that everyone's. The Alter Rebbe teaches ve'im b'zeh isa v'mashagoyim k'tzas avora b'Shabbos. I want to leave it because I have to be mine. I don't know what the Alter is trying to say. Whatever, we'll leave it for next week. Also, lahadlik ner l'Shabbos bein ner shal hashulchan bein ner kol ner shabbayis b'shar chadorim mishmanim shenim benim shachim psila. Just like we said, there are kosher not kosher psila. There's kosher not kosher shmanim. Veilahin zefes b'shayve v'shemen also metzama gefen. Today, l'mashal, there is oil that's made from tzema gefen. And again, in this point of Etzion Abashol or Letzin, he says you can't compare. The shemen that they used to make Bezman Chazal from tzema gefen probably was a very weak shemen, and there wasn't nimshach well in psila. But today, the factory, David, could you mute yourself?
Fell asleep. He's snoring.
Thank you.
I just turned it off. It was another
good.
speaker. It was an amplifier.
Okay, good.
I'm using it.
V'shemen also mitzema gefen shuman alye v'shar shuman shalom shenim v'shalom v'kir v'davim shalom muchat kimishem yafchashim yataner shorka shuman shorcha machapsilim adlikim kulon. All the other oils are all kosher. Chutz min ha'itron min ha'shereich v'gzeir Hashem yenichem v'yetza v'chav alach leitzel aner b'shabbos. Chutz min ha'tziri min ha'shereich noidev. The opposite is very sweet smell. And Shema Yistapik Menu, V'Mistapik Maner, Adolok Yeshua Mishumachaba, V'Neshu off, V'Nidbak Ha'oil, because Le'abai is Shema Yebol, Amamonu V'Yavalakanas. Okay. Tamzat Tzerch Lezor, Shaloi, Listem, Hatana, Sheyesh Ba'esh Ba'etz. It's a Chidush Din that Magen Avraham learns out from this Gemara. In those days, sometimes as a cheap alternative, they didn't have a door for the oven, they would use a board of wood. But if the fire in the oven gets big enough,
Soon the wood.
yeah. So the Magen Avraham says that Shabbos you have to be careful. Just like we said, the Chazal said you're not allowed to use tziri because there's a chash, because it's flammable. The Gemara we didn't learn yet this Gemara. The Gemara says over there about a mother-in-law who hated her daughter-in-law, and she gave her a bottle of perfume from tziri. And after her daughter-in-law she has to do a favor to light the candle in the house.
She knew it's gonna light.
So, and then she died from her whole body went on fire. So that's all the first female member of Hamas. Shmanim she'enim nimshochim acher apsila. Shenosim shemen zayis kolshu. Vodan nimshochim acher apsila. He mixed it. So the emphasis at that point, it is going to be nimshach. That's the teva. Also however, over there you are allowed. Below teruv v'shor shmanim, emad likim zeh shem yavel hadam shem adayin lo netoich v'nemoichel. ואז אין לנו שרחם, ויש שעה שתהיה סנר, ושאין כשמדליקים עדי תראה ושור שמונים, כל שהוא אף אם יבל הדליקים עדי תראה וזה, כשעדיין לא נתויכם ונמויכם, לא יהיה שום שעה שתהיה, לפי שמשרחם, החפסיל עדי שם כל שהוא. This is the last piece that we learned yesterday, that we don't make exeda, that these pieces of Caleb are good, but when they're clumpy, so they're not good. So Chazal said, we're scared that, if we let you use it when they're melted, you're going to use them when they're clumpy. So don't use it. But now that you added a little bit of shemazayis to it, and they're really melted, so Chazal didn't want to be gozer so much, because what's the big deal? If you're going to add shemazayis, you're going to use it plain without shemazayis. If you're plain without shemazayis, it's also good. I didn't want to worry about further. Shori Shem and Afilah Shem Azayim and Lukum Neshenim Shacha Chapsila. Shemore Shemen is not the good Shemen, it's what falls in the bottom of the barrel. The same thing, you're not allowed to use that light. Okay, before we go to Sif Yadal, very important things. Yesterday I clumped together a few shittas of Rishonim, but they're really a separate thing. There is a shit of Rishonim that hold that all these oils that are not kosher in the wicks, and they're not kosher, but if you turn them into a candle, all bets are off. You can use a pasla wick plus a pasla oil. The emphasis is that doesn't read in the words of the Gemara at all. So the Gemara says, Ad kam sul psilas, mikam ve'elech sul shmanim. The Gemara says pshita. So the Gemara says, Mao, that shaiva is not good for psila. Kamashmal, and the shaiva is good for psila. What's a pita shamilas? So if you ask the Chachman Arvoina, they said that you could use wax as a psila. We still have to try it. To get some beeswax and bring here some shemazayis, a cup, and see if it works. I'll be surprised if it works. But that's the way the Chachman Arvoina teaches, and that reads well in the Gemara. Rashi teaches, not so, it doesn't well, but also goes. Mao the time that if you wanted to take a good wick, a very good wick, say Tzemach Geffen. We hold Tzemach Geffen as a very good wick. You want to use Tzemach Geffen, it's a good wick, and you surround it with shaiva. Mao the time kamash malah. Now, it doesn't read so well in the Gemara, but you have to read Rashi like this. You have to go like this when you read Rashi. This is not a good wick. Kamash Malon, this is a good wick. In other words, we look, the wick is kosher, and all the wax that's around it has a din of a wick. If we don't look at it as a shemen anymore. We look at it as a psila. And is it a kosher psila? Yeah, it's a kosher psila. And the shemanim, since they're melted onto the psila, it has a din of a psila arichta. A psila, it's one big fat psila. That's sort of the way Rashi learns the Gemara, and it also reads well in the Gemara. So the Rabbeinu Tam liked Rashi. He said, don't go any further. If you want to use a kosher psila, like a lot of the psilas that we have that are good psilas, made out of tzemach geffen from cotton, and then you want to dip it in to paraffin, you want to dip it into chaylev, and you want to dip it into shaiva, whatever you want. So we're going to say that this is not... You're not using pasla shemen. Now you made a kosher psila thick, and you're using a psila. So we're making. But if you want to use a puzzle of wick and a puzzle of shemen and glue them together, that you can. And that's the way the Alter Rebbe paskins l'poy. Lo yosel lahadlik b'shman shem shachem elok shashem ein koruch sov v'apsilak maneret shalonu. Alamunach kuloi bekli shu aneir. You see, munach kuloi bekli. What's the kli shu aneir? The neir is called the kli. The teuche v'apsila b'seiche. Sh'oz hu ein nimshach ha'apsila. Avlim koruch ois sov v'apsila. Kegon shekoruch zefes shai v'apila shein muhutach sov v'apsila. Even if it's not muhutach. There's two ways to make a beeswax candle. There's professional, which is the company takes a big pot and they melt it, and then and then there is when your child comes home from a project they did, and they took the mora, gave them a shtickle of shaiva and a wick, and the kid wraps it up. So either way is good. It's all kosher. אפילו שאין מותר סוב בפסילה, והרי הוא נמשך אחריה, ומותר להדליק בו. וכל מוקים, אם עושה פסילה מדברים אסורים, וכורך סביב עשה שייבה, is a chelev. If the psila is a davar asur, and then top of that you put shayva, chelev, afilu muhutach, also ladik, shash Hashem nimshach echa psila, and kol mokem, psila me'achmas atzma, eina delekes yof, b'choshim shaniyata. So now it doesn't matter what kind of shemen you're going to put around it. Alter Rebbe says in Kutas Achron, "Hu adin mishkachas lo b'shemen kosher lagamri." Kedamashra behedye berosh b'sefer shum b'shem Rabbeinu Tam b'psila fasul asura b'chalinyan. V'is al daitel b'shemen kosher shori mishkachas lagav deteira. But it's mashma that Rabbeinu Tam said the psila asuri could stand on your head, and it's also b'chalinyan. When the Tur said that there's a shit that says a posela wick plus a posela shemen is kosher. Rabbeinu Tam said it's awesome. But Aliba de Rabbeinu Tam, we wanted to say kocher datera. But Aliba de Rabbeinu Tam, that it doesn't work. It's not only when both are possible, the shemen and the psila. Even if just the psila is possible, even if you karach around it something which is kosher, is also not good. He says the reason why the Tur didn't spell out in Rabbeinu Tam that if you're going to have a kosher wick, but the oil is going to be not kosher, it doesn't work, because the fact is, until today, the 21st century, the Alter Rebbe says they never had such a thing. The Metzias, they didn't have an oil which is kosher, that you could glue onto, because we have thickening agents to make anything, so you could do whatever you want. We have what the Alter Rebbe says is possible today. And that's what the Alter Rebbe says. Why? The neft who min lach hanimded bekli could isa biyuma daf lamatez bo limded neft kach satamti befnim. It's funny. The Alter Rebbe is not going to say. I want to bring you an ayah. Go to the store. Go to Shell. Go to Mobile, and go and pay and squeeze. As the zen that it's a dovalach. What's the game? What's happening at the mobile station? That's not keraya. The Gemara says in Yuma Daf Lametes that it's a min lach hanim that bekeli. So he's saying that the neft, that the neft, he basically is saying that there's a lot of shemanim that are kosher, and the psil is possible. But Bizman Chazal ad zmanenu the Alter Rebbe, he says I don't know of a thing which is that it's a kosher oil, and you could take a non-kosher wick and make it hard and glue it onto it. Lo yaduali such a thing. I don't know of such a thing. Now, bismanenu now, I'm sure there is. I'm sure every type of thing that you can liquefy, you could also make it into solid.
A gel.
You make some type of gel. The company makes a certain gel, and they make it harden a little bit. You want to make it harder, we'll make it a little harder. We'll mix in a little this, we'll mix in a little that, and we'll make it harder. But ma baya. But the Alter Rebbe is saying the reason why the Tur said that the Rebbeinu Tam said if it's a non-kosher wick and a non-kosher oil and you glued it together, it's not good. The Alter Rebbe says that Rebbeinu Tam held even if you found a kosher oil and you glued it on the wick, it's not good. It's just that in the days of the Rabbina, Rabashi, and Rebbeinu Tam and the Alter Rebbe, there was no such a thing of a kosher oil that you could thicken it and glue it on. But be'etzem, that's like satamti b'fnim, because I just wanted to quote the Lashon of the Rebbeinu Tam. But be'etzem, if you ask the Rebbeinu Tam, it goes to the wick. If the wick is not kosher, it's not going to help to glue onto it a shemen, even that's kosher. It's all in the wick. The wick has to be a kosher wick. And that, if the wick is a kosher wick, then we're makel. I say that the wick is a kosher wick, then even if the shemen is not a kosher shemen, and you glued it on, because the wick is kosher, but the wick must be kosher, and that reads well in the Lashon of the Gemara. The Tema, Kamash Malon, for psila is good, but the psila taka has to be kosher. The psila taka has to be kosher, and that's the halacha. We're passing like Rebbeinu Tam, who's passing like Rashi, but the psila has to be kosher. So, what lesson can we take from this Navodas Hashem? That the psila is us, and then there is the shmanim, that the ma'asim tovim that we do. So our machshava dibur ma'asim, the psila has to be kosher. It'll be better if the shmanim are kosher. But you know what? The heimish minig is azoi that nicht azoi medayik in the shmanim. But the psila, which is the person, the nefesh mahamas, me, I have to be kosher. In order for the shechina to be on me, the Rebbeinu Tam says, you know what? If the shmanim are not kosher, ongeklepet, it works for you. But the psila davzan a kosher psila. There's no such a thing. The psila must be a kosher psila. Maybe shall help from that every one of us should be a kosher psila, and the shechina that's burning on us should burn strong, and we should always bring more shmanim, and there should be rogel b'ner, that we should always be rogel, that should be shchinta shari areishe.
I just remember that my Zayden not use electric in Shabbos.
No, because it was in Israel, because it was connected to.
It was before the generator. So the Neo Shabbos is some inside, but the light that he put on the wall, it was stuck in it.
That he used now.
It was like a antique. The bottom had like a gallon of oil.
And that's what he used for Shabbos.
Yeah, thick filler. The problem is you make the whole
house
black, very fast. Have to paint the house like in rain because
wow,
that's the way they use Shabbos. That's it.
They didn't use electricity.
I don't know if they did it rich.